So, let's go. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Oberon channel. After just a little time of 2 or 3 years, I'm making a new episode, finally. To be honest, I was about to quit the Oberon channel because I had no more ideas how to proceed. And I also had a shift of my focus of interest to some other topics, as I already mentioned in the previous video of the Hardware City channel. But some of you guys with some very nice and friendly comments reminded me that Oberon was really some kind of called an old love of myself, and I made up my mind about this and found out that still this topic is worth following. And I had some new ideas. And I made up my mind about one thing that in my experience was the most challenging thing about Oberon. It's this installation process. If you try to remember the first 2 videos I made in the Oberon channel, I was describing the installation process that started by getting those MS-DOS 3.2 images from the internet, downloading them, downloading the Oberon zipped archive from SourceForge, then flashing the MS-DOS images on a floppy. Also have free floppies. The most important thing, you need a floppy drive for the installation, otherwise you are down dead. Then installing MS-DOS on the target system. That means creating a DOS partition, installing DOS on it. Then inflating the Oberon archive and putting all those thousands of archive files on 1.44 megabyte floppies, and then doing this disk juggling process of moving those files via a floppy from your computer to the target system. And before you can do this, you have to use the Oberon boot disk to install some kind of basic Oberon system. And the other archives are coming on top in the second process of this installation thing. So in total you're busy a whole day and you need floppy drives. And this is the most biggest obstacle to overcome, that we need to use outdated hardware for running Oberon in the way that it is provided by SourceForge. Outdated hardware still is available in the form of so-called thin clients. You know, a thin client is some kind of a very simple computer with an old architecture from the 90s or 80s and 90s, and it was widely used in, let's say, cash systems in supermarkets, or those in ATMs, in all applications where you needed some kind of basic computer system running with some kind of simple operating system like DOS or maybe Windows 98 or Windows XP. All these machines were were widely used. So the thin clients of today still do have this architecture, but most of them don't have a floppy drive anymore, because using diskette floppies is something no one wants to do, and it's not provided by those computer systems you can buy at eBay anymore. So the basic idea I got, would it be possible to facilitate to make this installation process much easier? Because in my eyes this is the greatest obstacle to overcome for someone who maybe wants to play with an Oberon system. This immense efforts you have to invest into this installation process, and this very special hardware you need that also must provide a floppy drive. I have one Oberon system I have installed on a compact flash card. That means I have a thin client, it also provides a floppy drive, and the original hard drive was replaced by a compact flash card. something like this. And some years ago I managed to install Oberon on this compact flash card and to run Oberon on this PC. And starting from this point, the idea grows: wouldn't it be possible if this card contains a complete Oberon system with all those basic installations, all drivers, all those gadgets, everything Oberon is made of today, and copy it on a second compact flash card, so that you can take the second card and you can put it in some kind of envelope. You can put it here into the envelope and send it to some other guy who also has a thin client system, and then he takes out, he takes out the compact flash card, inserts this in his thin client system, and Oberon is running out of the box. That was the basic idea. I tried to pursue this idea, I pursued this idea for the last 3 weeks, and I can tell you I had a heck of pain to find out how this works. Every time I seem to have found a way to realize this idea, Oberon was slamming the door right before my nose, and I was thrown back to the start of my quest. What I tried was using WinImage to make an image of such a of this Oberon system on this compact flash card, and push it onto another disk. When I was inserting this new disk in my target system, I got a boot error. So I tried another backup tool named Aume, a very good backup and restoring tool. You can save and restore complete disk or just single partitions. And I use the clone process, where you can really have to use 2 compact flash card readers, and you're transferring directly the information from one compact flash to the other one. Then again I inserted this clone card into my target system, and voila, boot error. Then I tried to make an image from it, and I I stored the image on a disk, and I loaded this image into the target card, and boot error. Then I tried to save the boot record directly from the target system. This is also a function that is provided by the Aume backupper, so I can save the master boot record of this compact flash card on the computer, and then you can store it on the copy card. Boot error. So this was the situation where I began to have second thoughts about my idea, if it really would be possible to realize this. Then I switched over to another idea similar to the first one, but with some different let's say predispositions. I had the idea to install not the original native Oberon system, where you can boot it from the master boot record. Had the idea to first install DOS. Then there's a way when you can, let's say, install Oberon upon DOS. That means you still have a native Oberon partition, but the Oberon system itself is stored in something like a big file, a disk file that is hosted in DOS. So first you have to boot into DOS, and then you can start the Oberon system. And this actually worked very well. I could directly boot into DOS without needing some kind of boot floppy or something like that. And from DOS I could start the Oberon system. Yeah, all worked very well, except one little thing. What was the downside of this configuration? I could not save anything in Oberon, because this Oberon disk where this whole system is hosted is read-only. That means even changing the configuration file in the Oberon.txt configuration, for example, I could not save it. I always got an error. System could not save it because the Oberon disk on DOS is read-only. So this idea again was something on the trash can. Then I had the idea if it would be possible to store the image of the Oberon boot floppy on one partition on the compact flash card, so that I could, let's say, simulate the booting process that the system is going through when you insert through in the Oberon boot floppy, by putting this on this card. But this also was something that did not work because the image files are directly, let's say, tailored to the physical constraints of a floppy drive. So the floppy drive image is totally different from an image you have on, let's say, a hard drive or a compact flash card. So this is also something that did not work. Then I was about to quit everything. And I was lying in my bed at night and still this problem was going around in my head. I couldn't sleep, and sometimes it's just the way that it gets, the solution comes to you as in the dress of intuition, so to speak. I pondered the problem that I was not able to boot from the compact flash card, by no means. And yes, I tried also something different. I bought myself an industrial grade compact flash card because I read in the internet that booting from a compact flash card is only guaranteed if you have an industrial grade compact flash card. The other cards can work or they might not. Mostly, in most cases, they do not. So I bought this compact flash card, but I had the same problem, boot error, nothing worked. So, and I asked myself why this one card I have on my in my thin client, I was able to install the Oberon system and it's working, I can boot it, and another card it's not possible. And I began to think about partition sizes and partition positions. I stumbled about this problem as I was, let's say, juggling forth and back with this partition thing, and I tried to install a DOS partition behind an Oberon partition, and the fdisk command from MS-DOS told me this is not possible, and then I read something in documentation and I found out that the primary DOS partition always must be at the start of the disk. So let's say here and not there. to make it a bit visual. And then I thought about if there might be some similar problem in Oberon, that Oberon only can boot natively in its installed system if the Oberon partition is placed near the start of the disk. And maybe the reason why this Oberon installation I had on my compact flash drive was due to the fact that the DOS partition was very small, only so big in size to host the MS-DOS 3.2 files and the installation files, the optional packages for the Oberon system. And so I turned around the paradigm, so to say. I first installed an Oberon partition directly at the start of the disk, and the MS-DOS partition behind it. But that caused also new problems because, as I said, DOS requires to have the primary partition also at the start of the disk, somewhere in the first cylinders. So, how to solve this problem? Because now I have two partitions, both are requiring to be placed at the start of the disk. I solved this problem by a trick. First, I installed the Oberon system first I created an Oberon partition here on the compact flash drive. Then I pre-installed the basic Oberon system on it. And from inside Oberon, I created a DOS partition at the end of the disk. 50 megabyte DOS partition at the end of the disk. And with this, let's say, predisposition, I could take this card, insert it into the card reader on my computer, and this DOS partition was recognized on my system, and it said, should I do a format? And I said, yes, please format the partition. And after formatting, it was available on my computer as a 50 megabyte FAT16 partition that I could put some files in. And so I immediately transferred all the Oberon installation files for the optional packages. I stored them on these DOS partition, and then I could reinsert the card in my Oberon machine. I could boot Oberon. I could mount these, let's say, external DOS partition, which was not originally on the place where it should be, but it worked. I could mount the partition. I could get access to those files, those Oberon installation files, and I could finish installation by installing all those optional packages. And after doing that, I also transferred by floppy all the Oberon files I made during all those experiments and tests and development steps I showed you in all the previous videos in the Oberon channel. And I also transferred them on the Oberon system, and then I made an image from the complete system. That means the complete Oberon installation and also the DOS partition, and I used the AOME backupper tool to make an image file. And then the great moment came. I used this image file to restore the system on a second industrial grade compact flash card. I inserted it into my Oberon machine and it started up and it worked. Yay! You know what this means? That means I can provide now a file, an image file to download for you on my file server, my cloud drive. And all you have to do is to buy the AOME backupper tool, which is about 50 euros, and an industrial grade compact flash card of about 512 megabytes or 1 gigabyte. Doesn't matter, something like that. That costs another 35 euros roundabout. And then you just have to download this image file, you have to flash it. Of course you need a card flash, a compact flash reader. This costs you another 12 or 15 euros. Then you have to flash the image file on the card, insert it into your thin client system, and you're done. That's all. There's no more downloading MS-DOS installation files from the internet, no more downloading Oberon installation archives, no more inflating and installing WinImage, and no more image flashing on floppies and doing the floppy jockeying forth and back. And also no more configuration, because of course this way I can provide an Oberon installation that also is configured, for example, for a German keyboard layout or English keyboard layout. It's no problem for me. All you need is this, and this you don't need anymore. And this is the great message. And I hope in this way we can spread Oberon and maintain Oberon in a much better way than we can now. Because the hardware still is available. Thin clients are around, like the Siemens Futuro or all these little Dell machines. You can buy them for something between 50 and 100 euros at eBay. Most of them are refurbished systems, are working very well. Most of them don't have a floppy drive anymore, and you don't need a floppy drive anymore. So this is a total easy way to get yourself an Oberon machine up and running with a full-fledged Oberon operating system, with all in that is existing about Oberon. So the only thing that's left to be said is for all those information you need to do what I actually showed you is to follow the link that is in the video description. It will direct you to my cloud drive. In the cloud drive you will find two different images. One image for the German keyboard setting and another one for an English keyboard setting. We will start with this two configurations right away. And maybe by the time we can add, or I will add some more, depending on your reaction, if this what I did is working for you or not. One word regarding the video resolution. I chose a video driver VISA 1280 by 768 pixels, 8-bit color depth. I chose this driver because this is probably working on all Oberon machines I actually configured, so I think it should also work for you. Last thing to be said is that also a document will be in the cloud drive explaining you all the steps you will need to install these image files on your system, where you can find the AOME backup tool, the type of compact flash card I use and how to obtain this card, but you're of course free to try other kind of industrial grade compact flash cards. And one last word regarding the naming. I made up my mind how I could call this new, let's say, distribution for Oberon, where everything is pre-installed on a compact flash card. Because, as you know, Mr. Niklas Wirth chose the name Oberon for his operating system and his programming language, because at this time he started the development. The moon Oberon was discovered. One of the moons is orbiting around the planet Uranus. And in my eyes, or my mind, this new distribution is something like the new home planet for Oberon that is orbiting around it now, and for this reason I called this distribution the Uranus distribution. And this is a name you will find in the image files on my cloud drive. Okay, in the next video we can talk a little bit more about what we can actually do with those Oberon machines in terms of applications and in terms of interfaces. And I have some very distinctive thoughts about these topics, and I want to tell you my opinion, and I want to, let's say, open some kind of horizon to project some things where we can go to with those machines, and maybe actually we will be able to renew the whole Oberon community, because we can make this wonderful operating system now easily available for everyone at a low price, and I hope this will make Oberon flourish again. So, interesting things are up to come. Stay tuned and see you in the next episode. Bye.